Well, it wasn't like I didn't warn you, everyone, was it? I mean, this is very interesting. So, Matt Reeves was being interviewed on the red carpet of the Golden Globes. He answered many a question about the possibility of a second season of The Penguin. He says they're searching for another story now. But he was directly asked about merging his Robert Pattinson Batman crime saga Batman with the DCU. And this is exactly what he said. Who knows what the future holds? So if you still are holding out hope that Robert Pattinson will not become the DCU Batman, you are deluding yourselves. He could have easily said, listen, my Batman has nothing to do with the DCU. But you gunstans are going to say, hang on a minute, Mick. James has said on a multitude of occasions that the Batman 2 isn't part of the DCU. No, the Batman 2 isn't part of the DCU. But after the Batman 2, Robert Pattinson will more than likely be the DCU Batman. So let's just say that Pattinson is actually the DCU Batman. Could he cameo in Superman? He can absolutely cameo in Superman. And Gunn can sell it as, yes, he is the DCU Batman, but the Batman 2 isn't part of the DCU. They can easily do that. So to some fans, Matt Reeves is going to be accused of selling out. But the reality is when someone says, who knows what the future holds? As I said, he could have easily said, there's no way in this reality, in any reality, that my Batman is part of the DCU. But to be fair to Matt, when Gunn came in, he could have been told, look, mate, if you want a Batman sequel, you're going to have to play ball with me, and you're going to have to allow your Batman to join the DCU, because he's an existing Batman, people like him, and I can't have two different versions of live-action Batman running around. It makes no sense. Gunn knows this. He hasn't said that publicly, but Gunn's a smart enough guy to understand. He inherited this situation, this problem. And Gunn, whatever you think of him, has handled this masterfully. He's made friends publicly with Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves is producing certain DCU projects like Clayface, which is now it's not being released in the same year as the Batman 2. It's being released in 2026, right? In the year that the Batman 2 should have been released. But is there a way to explain Pattinson's Batman being part of the DCU in the Batman 2 at the end of the Batman 2? Now, Matt Reeves has kind of hinted that we'll be shocked by the ending of the Batman 2. So very, very interesting. When someone says who knows what the future holds and they don't dismiss a situation, it's happening. In my opinion, this means Robert Pattinson will be the DCU Batman. I didn't know that for a fact. I suspected that something had to happen. And whatever was going to happen, if Pattinson was going to become the DCU Batman, he would become the DCU Batman after the Batman 2. It's Gunn's play with words that's, I'm a smart guy. And as you know, I get this business. I understand this business. Forget about my low subscribers and my low views. And even when I get a lot of views, I get like 9 likes. Appreciate those 9 to 11 likes, by the way. Would like a few more for my efforts, but it doesn't matter. I don't need anyone to say, hey, Mick, you're great. I know I'm great. I know I'm a great lover. I know I'm a great dude. Doesn't matter. But, when someone, because it's the way these people talk. People in power say certain things so they're not caught out in a lie when things change. The Batman 2 isn't part of the DCU. That doesn't mean after the Batman 2, Robert Pattinson won't be the DCU Batman. And it's Matt Reeves' words of saying, who knows what the future holds, that tells me everything that I need to know. That Robert Pattinson will in fact be the DCU Batman. And as I say, there's a lot of the Batman Crime Saga fans that are going to feel betrayed about this. Should they? I understand why you don't want, everything to be combined together, but there is a mess here. You cannot have two live action Batmen. When Gunn announced Brave and the Bold for the DCU talking about a fantastical Batman, I thought, well, at least his Batman will be different to Reeves' Batman, but it's still a lot to ask of an audience when you're trying to integrate two live action versions of this character, no matter how popular he is. And for Reeves to say, who knows what the future holds, that tells me, as I say, everything I need to know. Because, look, if Reeves was this big strict figure on this subject, he would go, no way, my Batman is my Batman, he has nothing to do with the DCU. James Gunn has assured me that's never going to happen. Reeves didn't say that. He said, who knows what the future holds. And when Gunn responds to this, and you wait on Fred when he responds to this, he's going to parrot the same words, that the Batman 2 isn't part of the DCU. And people who don't want the amalgamation of Reeves' Batman with the DCU are going to say, how many more times does James have to tell us that it's not happening? That's not what James Gunn is telling you. He's merely saying that the Batman 2 is nothing to do with the DCU, and that is an accurate statement. But, as I say, it's what happens after the Batman 2. It's these play with words. It's, who knows what the future holds. That's interesting, isn't it? Now, he spoke about Matt Reeves spoke about wanting to do a Batman Crime Saga trilogy. Who knows if he gets to do that now? So, is there a scenario where Robert Pattinson could be the DCU Batman, but be another Batman in Matt Reeves' universe? Messy. Very, very messy. And I wouldn't advise them to do that. But I think that James Gunn will do whatever it takes to have one Batman, one live-action Batman. Ultimately, I'm not going to die on any hill here, but I think it's a difficult one, isn't it? It's a difficult one. I don't blame James Gunn if this is what's happening, because he didn't really have much of a choice. And Matt Reeves didn't have much of a choice but to play ball with DC Studios here. So, I'd love to know what you think about this. Are you happy about this? Are you happy that the possibility of Robert Pattinson's The Batman merging with the DCU? Do you think they should cast somebody else? As I've been saying for days and days and days, I do believe that the DCU Batman will appear in Superman. Not for very long, but he will appear at some small point. That's when they're going to introduce him. It's obvious. Now, the version of Batman we saw in Creature Commandos was interesting, but who knows what's going on. But Matt Reeves didn't sound like someone very confident that his Batman wouldn't amalgamate over to the DCU. It's clear that Reeves has agreed to this after the Batman 2. At the very least, he probably said, please let me make my movie, and then you can do whatever you want to do. I think it was important to Reeves to at least get his The Batman sequel. But I don't think there's a doubt about this situation anymore. And it is a crazy situation. And, I don't know how else you deal with this. What's really interesting here is, though, when we thought that Batman 2 and Clayface would be released in the same year, and a fan said to James Gunn on Threads, how can you have Clayface and the Batman 2 released in the same year, so close together? And he said, well, the Batman 2 is nothing to do with DCU, but Clayface is. When he said that, he most probably would have known that the Batman 2 had no chance in hell of being released in 2026. So him saying that the Batman 2 is not part of the DCU may actually not be true. It's very, very interesting at this stage, isn't it? I think this is a fascinating situation to see how studios work and how, let's just say, they're very economical with the truth. The reality is, when James Gunn came in, he knew that two Batmen was never going to work. He knew that. And they were obviously negotiating with Reeves on what to do with this situation. So when he announced Brave and the Bold, he probably knew, A, Andres Muschietti was never going to be directing that movie because he won. I assure you of that. We'll wait and see what happens there. But I've been very consistent on that fact since Andres Muschietti was announced to be directing Brave and the Bold. I said several months ago that Brave and the Bold, as it is right now, will never happen either. So it's very interesting. Now, James Gunn has teased the great future between Batman and Superman in the DCU. That's also very interesting indeed. So it's a fascinating situation to see how New Hollywood use social media to, talk to the fans. But there's no, this situation, as I said the other day, should never have been allowed to fester for so long. They should have made their decision. Right now, we should know, not necessarily who the new Batman is. Maybe, right? They want to leave that little nugget, as I said the other day, for the Superman film. And that's okay. But to kind of know what's going on in terms of having two Batmen, I suppose if you announce that Pattinson is the DCU Batman, then you're going to let go of that surprise. And I'm sure if Pattinson turns up in this Superman film, there's going to be a lot of online discussion. Some very upset fans and some very, very happy fans as well. But I think in this case, it was a no-win situation for Matt Reeves and a no-win situation for James Gunn. James Gunn didn't make the decision to have two Batmen in live action. It was a situation that was foisted, upon him. Now, you can have a go on, at James Gunn for certain things, but you can't have a go at him about the Batman situation. It needed sorting out. It needed cleaning up. And if Robert Pattinson does end up being the DCU Batman, I'm fine with it. Robert Pattinson is a great Batman. Robert Pattinson is a great actor. But would he want to be in so many DC movies if in fact he is the DCU Batman? Of course, Robert Pattinson hasn't spoken about this. He hasn't been asked about this. That's interesting. But Matt Reeves' comments at the Golden Globes tell everyone what we didn't know before. That Matt Reeves isn't actually opposed to Pattinson in his Batman crime saga amalgamating over to the DCU. Because before that, we were like, Matt Reeves doesn't want this. Matt Reeves is desperate for that not to happen. And all he said was, we'll have to wait and see what the future holds. Even James Gunn said that's not what Matt Reeves wants. Even James Gunn has admitted that he toyed with the fact of making Pattinson the DCU Batman. But at the end of the day, James Gunn can keep on denying it, and Matt Reeves can keep on saying, well, we'll see what the future holds. But when someone says, let's see what the future holds, it basically means, yeah, I'm fine with Pattinson becoming the DCU Batman after my Batman sequel. That's what it says to me. It's an interesting situation because some of us are going to be right and some of us are going to be wrong. But, ultimately, people will feel let down. The Batinson stands will feel let down by this because they were made certain assurances. But this is the entertainment industry, everyone. I think they could have dealt with it publicly a lot better than they have. If they made the decision for Pattinson to be the DCU Batman, they should have announced it straight away. And he should never have announced Brave and the Bold. He should never have announced Andres Muschietti for directing Brave and the Bold, because Brave and the Bold doesn't really seem like that's the movie we're going to be getting. But we're sitting, he keeps on saying, well, we haven't had a good script yet, and I don't greenlight movies unless we get a good script. As I say, that's all well and good, but I call BS on that, to be honest. So yeah, a fascinating situation, and how it plays out is going to be very interesting. But something tells me he's going to turn up in Superman, whoever's playing the Dark Knight.